Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of DMP for That's My Podcast. I am outside today, just at one of the parks here in LA, so hopefully I'm not too quiet because this is one of my first times recording out in public but by myself, so I'm just going for it. Also, look at these sunglasses, they're humongous, they're not even fully mine. Look at those. Bougie. Sorry if you all are only on audio and not watching the video. But anyways, so this week I kind of wanted to talk about, looking at my analytics, I was like, y'all really enjoyed the religious trauma episode of the podcast, and so I was like, you know what, let me kind of try to talk a little bit more about now where I'm at, and also just talking about religion in general, because again, it's just not a topic that a lot of people talk, especially not in a lighthearted manner. I feel like normally people talk about it, but it's more almost political and argumentative versus just a conversation. So this week I kind of wanted to talk about the difference between spirituality and being spiritual and then being religious. At least this is just all my opinion. So I guess getting into it, I would say I grew up very religious, obviously, with the background. If you all have listened to that episode beforehand, or if you're new, I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So pretty strict rules, very much I was at the Kingdom Hall or church every Sunday, every Thursday. I was doing volunteer work every Saturday, and then whenever I got older, I got into doing volunteer work literally 70 hours a month, which is insane. Which I mean, it's good, but it was just pretty much it was my whole life, is what I'm trying to say. It was literally I feel my identity, which was funny. I was hanging out with a newer friend here, and we went on this huge waterfall hike and everything like that, and we were talking about it, just talking in the car ride there, because it was an hour and a half car ride, and she just kind of gave me her little story. She was like, well, I guess that's my little spiel about myself, and I was like, I never even mentioned to you that my religious background or anything like that, because I mean, I was really, I got disfellowshipped whenever I was 18 or 19, and so this is pretty much that was pretty much my whole childhood, was being a witness and growing up in that way. So sometimes it's kind of cool to me, back in Evansville, that was pretty much my identity. I think everybody kind of knew that was how I grew up and stuff like that. This is a smaller town, so it's if you went to school with me, whatever, you pretty much know. Even my work, I was working when I was 14, so people that I worked with from then on to when I was 18, they knew of it as well. So it's kind of cool here in LA how I've kind of been able to create this new identity. I am, me. I'm not everything that I necessarily believe, if that makes sense, because sometimes whenever people hear something big about you, I feel that's the only thing that they see you as. Sometimes I know growing up, that's kind of how I felt. Sometimes it was just oh, well, she's this, almost they get preconceived judgments based off of their knowledge of that religion or whatever beforehand, whatever they're judging you based off of. So yeah, I just thought that I'd share that was kind of a cool experience for me, because recently I would consider myself more spiritual versus religious, I guess. I haven't been really going to any type of church. I've tried a few, going on a Sunday and stuff like that, just kind of trying to expand my horizons, see what else is out there. But I feel I've mainly just been kind of doing my own type of research on different topics, not necessarily going to different churches and going to I guess I just haven't really been doing any type of organized religion recently. Sorry, I'm getting distracted with everybody walking past. I'm people are avoiding the back of the video, which is kind, it's very kind, but it's just funny. I just get always squirrel brain. But anyways, so yeah, I would say that I've been mostly spiritual, I guess is the best way to explain it, which like to me, I just feel like that's me realizing that I still have like a spiritual need, and that I still want to go into my different beliefs and like really figure out what I believe and what I like, you know, those types of little like core values. I still have all my other like same values, you know, just because I'm not a witness like, or like, you know, that religion anymore doesn't mean that like I completely changed or anything like that. You know, I still have some similar morals in some types of ways, but yeah, for the most part, I'm just trying to discover that part of myself and figure out what I really believe and what was actually real that I was doing versus like just people pleasing, you know, kind of like growing up. Now that I have like my own identity and my own way of like going through my emotions and my thought processes versus just like kind of being fed whatever anybody was giving me and just kind of taking that for that's the truth. So I feel like now, you know, I've been reading a lot more, which I feel like beforehand, like when I was a witness, it was kind of like, they always said like, oh, ask questions, but like, it was kind of like, I felt like frowned upon if you asked certain questions or you would get the same type of answer every time, like, because I guess my thought process is like, you know, what if you don't know if you really like believe in the Bible anymore, like if you believe that everything is true in the Bible anymore. Like they answer everything with the scripture, which is like, I'm not bashing witnesses or anything like that. Like honestly, I'm not bashing them or the way everything is, but I guess now that I'm like kind of really trying to fact check everything and like really understand, I'm just kind of like, well, how is that going to answer my question if you just answer it with another verse, another scripture? But you know, I'm still trying to figure all of those things out. But I guess like now I've just been more like, okay, let me read up on that, let me research, you know, and like look at other, like maybe not everything, obviously not everything that you're going to read on the internet is going to be factual or anything like that, but I just feel like it's been like nice feeling more free to have the ability to like look at different things and actually feel like I'm determining things for myself versus it just coming, you know, on a monthly basis, you know, like new material for me to read that's telling me that's true, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you know, if you guys ever want me to do like a full-on like background on like how Joe's Witnesses work kind of, and like the way that like we get our materials and like kind of like the chain of like command, I guess it's the best way to put it, then feel free to let me know and I'll try to do an episode on that so you all can better understand, or if you have any questions. But yeah, pretty much now I've been reading more, asking more questions, and I guess like I feel a little bit more like I'm nervous, apprehensive to get into like more of an organized religion, because just like I feel like whenever I was in that kind of community, which I do miss, a full-on community where I feel like it's like very trusting and like, I don't know, just it's very nice to be able to, you know, have a group of people. And you know, moving out here, you know, I don't have like a group yet or anything like that, so I think that was nice that whenever I was a witness, anywhere I went, you know, like whenever I traveled out of the country and like went through Asia and all these islands like Dominica and stuff, like it was cool to have a community. Just like I didn't even know them before, but they were like already like my friends. That is awesome, you know, it's a great feeling to have that. So that is one thing that I miss. But also coming with that community, there comes like, especially in a small town, a lot of like people being critical to your actions and very judgmental, and I feel like that thinking really did rub off on me. But one thing that I was thankful for with like being a witness is I feel like it did help, like, you know, because obviously I got bullied for like my beliefs and like not always looked at in the way that I would want to be looked at. But I feel like, you know, being a witness, it did help me. Like, I guess I was kind of raised to be like more well-mannered and like strong-willed, I guess, because they kind of teach you from a young age that like, listen, people aren't going to, sorry, I have like this fake septum piercing in because I'm trying to figure out how I want my nose piercings. It's making me want to sneeze. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, I'm good. So sorry if I'm sniffling this episode though. Whew. Anyways, but yeah, so it's like, they kind of tell you from like a young age, like, listen, you're probably gonna be ridiculed pretty much for what you believe in, and like for being being a Jehovah's Witness. And so I feel like it did help me become like pretty strong-willed. Like I have a lot of like self-discipline, and I can hold strong like to my own like core morals very well, which I'm thankful for. I don't like give in easy when it comes to things like that. But I'm trying to think where else I want to go with this. I'm just kind of speaking to you all. Hopefully I'm just kind of like talking, and I'm hoping that some people will be able to connect and just kind of understand, like, I guess this is me just kind of going through like the pros and cons a little bit, and just kind of speaking on like where my path is spiritually, from going from like super religious to now discovering. But I guess now I'm kind of like, I'm almost thinking like, where do I start? Like what, like, I don't know. It's like, do I try to prove like what I believed in the past was wrong necessarily, or not true? Or do I just completely go into other directions and just kind of like research every other type of religion? Or do I just look up different beliefs? That's where I'm kind of at right now, is like, I feel like I've spent a lot of time, like I've obviously done a lot of like different readings and stuff like that. And like the Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, that book was really cool. I really enjoyed it. And like, oh, there's a bee right next to me. But like looking at different things like in like, I believe it's pronounced like Sanskrit, like, I don't know, just listening to all of those types of beliefs, it was really interesting to me to like look into that. But it's like, am I gonna like go around saying like, okay, yeah, that's everything that I believe in? Like probably not. I don't know. So I guess I'm just being real with y'all. Just like, I'm still kind of confused on how I want to kind of discover what I fully believe in when it comes to all of that, because I believe everybody has a spiritual need inside themselves. And I feel like we all answer those we all have asked those questions at one point, like, were we created? Like, was the whole world created? Or was it, like what they teach in school about like evolution? Or like, how did all of this come about? Do we have free will? Questions like that are, I feel like, always like somewhat in the back of your mind. So I don't know how you can not wonder unless you kind of just try to block it out. But I feel like eventually there's going to come to a point in your life where you have that epiphany of like, man, I really need the answers to these questions. So I don't know. I am excited though that now I have like a way more open mind when it does come to like researching. And I feel like listening to other people. Sometimes whenever in the past, I felt like whenever other people would try to talk to me about their beliefs, I was just so fully on the teachings of the witnesses that I didn't even fully feel like I listened to other people. I was just kind of like already almost like going in one ear and out the other immediately, which is not right. Like, no matter what, even if you don't agree with what someone has to say, you should still kind of try to listen to what they have to say at least. So now I feel like I'm way better with that, especially like, I don't know, like when I like used to talk to JJ, I feel like we always had like chill conversations, but I think like fresh out of like witness life and stuff like that, sometimes it was like, oh, I don't know, I feel like I was kind of like almost defensive. And so now I feel like it's a lot better, just like, I don't know, I'm not feeling like if someone believes something different than me, they're trying to attack me. I think maybe that was just religious trauma, to be honest. But I'm trying to think where else I want to go. I'm trying to do like these podcasts in like one take, just because I'm still trying to figure out like the editing. It's so easy to edit like audio for me, but editing the video, oh my goodness, I don't know why it's like so difficult for me. But it's like I can't figure out what platform to use. So if y'all have any like recommendations, let me know. Wherever you're listening to this, put it in a comment and send it to me, or DM me something, because I feel like I am struggling, and that's been one of the reasons why I feel like I haven't been fully, like in on, posting all the podcast episodes, is because like I'm like, oh man, like I don't want to half-ass this or anything like that. I want to actually put out content that you all will enjoy and want to listen to, and like I don't want my video quality to be shitty, and nor my audio. So if you all have any recommendations, or if there's things that you want to see from me, please let me know, because I'm very happy to adjust and to listen to what you have to say. Anyways, going on, I feel like I kind of like talked about everything. I have like my notes in front of me and stuff like that, but I feel like I kind of discussed everything that I kind of like written down about, like pros and cons, things that I miss, things that I'm happy about, and like where I'm going, which I thought I would have more to say about like where I'm going with my beliefs and stuff like that, but I'm just kind of realizing, like, honestly, I'm still a little bit confused. So I don't want to have this whole video of me just saying like I do this and this and this, and that's how I got to where I am now and stuff like that, if I don't even fully feel like confident in that, or like what I am doing. So I guess that I'm just trying to be upfront and real, that like I feel like you're gonna have that time period where it's like, if you have like this big like core value or like belief, and you kind of start questioning it, like there's gonna be those times where you're not really sure like where to go from there. But just always remember that, like, just because that might not be a part of your identity anymore doesn't mean that you've lost yourself. You're still you, and you still have so many other pieces to you. Like, there's so many other layers than just that. So I think it's important, like, even whenever you're talking to other people, maybe if you don't fully agree with what their thought process is on something, don't just go ahead and knock them and say like, oh, that's never going to be someone that I can talk to or whatever. Like, I think we should all be open to having friends that believe different things than us, or like want different things. I don't know, you want people to be on the same path as you in some ways, of course, like, and you want them to be good people, but I think it's good for people to challenge us in those types of like scenarios. And yeah, I think that's just what I'm thankful for now, is like the ability of, like, whenever I was a witness, I was not able to really have any type of friends. Like, I was supposed to not anyways have any friends that weren't witnesses. So now I feel like I've finally been able to kind of have such a diverse group of people, and like actually talk and meet new people with like fresh takes and different things like that. And I feel like that really is what helps you learn and you figure out like yourself, because think about if you only were born in one area of the world. You never traveled, you never looked up new places, you never went to new places, like, you're never gonna meet new people. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like it's kind of the same way whenever it comes to spiritual beliefs and just beliefs and everything in general. I think you need to kind of explore a little bit to understand and get to that point where you feel confident in what you're choosing to believe and what you're choosing to be your core values. So yeah, there's my 2 cents, guys. Hopefully, I feel like all my episodes have been just so like crazy lately. Hopefully I'll figure out, I'm just kind of doing trial and error at this point, figuring out what you all want to listen to, and what I feel like is like fun for me to talk to you all about as well, because sometimes, like, I don't know if you all have just ever tried sitting and just talking where it's just you. Sometimes it's so difficult sometimes to like really get that conversation going. I like was watching Brittany Broski a bunch on TikTok, and like her podcast, she has so much energy. She's hilarious and she's insane, but in a good way. But I'm just like, girl, how do you do that whenever there's like no one else in the room? Like, like obviously she has the ones where she does like little interviews and stuff like that, but I'm like, there's so many things where she's just like sitting and like screaming at herself practically, and I'm like, honestly, it seems a little bit crazy, but I wish I like could get into that mode. So I'm trying to figure it out, y'all, and bear with me while I am going through all these different things. But again, feel free to reach out to me if you have any other requests from me of what you would want to see or listen to. And I hope that this episode, even though it was a little bit all over the place, I hope that you're able to connect with it in some type of way. And yeah, I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you for staying here till the end. If you did, wait, there we go, heart, there we go, heart. Sorry, I hearted everybody if you're watching the video. Sending hugs and kisses through audio, you know, if you're just listening. But anyways, have a great day, everybody. I hope it's getting sunny where you're from, because this cloudiness was kicking my ass. But yeah, have a great day, have a great weekend, everyone, and I will talk to you later.